The Lotus Sutra. The Lotus Sutra is a fundamental text in Mahayana Buddhism, revered for its profound teachings on the nature of reality, enlightenment, and the potential for all beings to achieve Buddhahood. Introduction to the Lotus Sutra. The Lotus Sutra, also known as the Saddharmapundarika Sutra, is one of the most revered and influential scriptures in Mahayana Buddhism. Its profound teachings have inspired countless practitioners for centuries, shaping the core beliefs and practices of many Buddhist traditions. The Lotus Sutra presents a unique and transformative perspective on the nature of reality, the path to enlightenment, and the potential for all beings to achieve Buddhahood. It emphasizes the inherent Buddha nature within every individual, regardless of their current circumstances or perceived limitations. The sutra's core message is one of universal compassion, emphasizing the Buddha's boundless love and willingness to guide all beings towards liberation. The Lotus Sutra is distinguished by its rich and metaphorical language, employing a variety of parables and stories to convey its profound teachings. These narratives serve as powerful illustrations of the sutra's central themes, making them accessible to readers of all backgrounds and levels of understanding. This document will explore the key teachings of the Lotus Sutra, delving into its historical context, its central concepts, and its enduring impact on Buddhist thought and practice. By examining the sutra's unique perspectives and its enduring relevance, we can gain a deeper appreciation for its transformative power. Historical context and significance. The Lotus Sutra, formerly known as the Saddharmapundarika Sutra, emerged in India sometime between the 1st and 3rd centuries CE, during a period of significant intellectual and religious ferment. While its exact origins remain debated, its composition is generally attributed to a community of Buddhist monks in the Mahayana tradition. Its historical significance lies in its profound impact on the development of Mahayana Buddhism. While earlier Buddhist scriptures focused on the path to individual enlightenment, the Lotus Sutra presents a revolutionary view of Buddhahood as an inherent potential within all beings, regardless of their current state. It challenges the notion of separate vehicles for achieving liberation, instead emphasizing the universality of the Buddha nature and the possibility of all beings attaining enlightenment. The Lotus Sutra's arrival in China in the 3rd century CE further solidified its influence, as Chinese Buddhist scholars embraced its teachings and translated it into their own language. From China, it spread to Korea and Japan, where it deeply impacted religious thought and practice. The Lotus Sutra's enduring popularity is evident in its ongoing study and recitation by millions of Buddhists around the world. The Lotus Sutra's influence extends beyond Buddhist circles. Its themes of universal compassion, non-discrimination, and the potential for transformation have resonated with scholars and thinkers from diverse backgrounds, contributing to its enduring relevance in the modern world. The concept of skillful means. A central concept within the Lotus Sutra is that of skillful means, upaya kausalya, a profound and often complex philosophical idea that permeates Buddhist teachings. Skillful means, in essence, refers to the strategic and compassionate methods employed by enlightened beings, particularly bodhisattvas, to guide others towards liberation and enlightenment. The Lotus Sutra emphasizes that the path to enlightenment is not a rigid or one-size-fits-all approach. Instead, it recognizes the diverse needs and capacities of individuals, advocating for flexible and adaptable methods tailored to their particular circumstances and levels of understanding. The use of skillful means, therefore, involves a deep understanding of human nature, including its strengths, weaknesses, and motivations. It entails employing various techniques, including parables, metaphors, and even seemingly contradictory teachings, to engage individuals in a meaningful way and facilitate their spiritual growth. The aim is to dispel ignorance and promote wisdom, ultimately leading them towards the realization of their inherent Buddha nature. The parable of the burning house. One of the most famous and influential parables in the Lotus Sutra is the story of the burning house. This parable illustrates the Buddha's skillful means of teaching and the nature of enlightenment. In this story, a father's house is ablaze, endangering his children who are playing inside. Knowing they will not heed his warnings or understand the urgency of the situation, he uses a variety of tricks and enticements to lure them out of the house. He promises them toys and other desirable objects, and even carries them out one by one, pretending to simply be playing with them. The father's actions represent the Buddha's use of skillful means, or upaya, to guide beings toward enlightenment. Just as the father adapted his approach to the children's limited understanding, the Buddha employs different methods to teach according to individuals' needs and capabilities. The children represent people caught in the cycle of suffering, and the fire symbolizes the illusions and attachments that keep them trapped. The parable highlights the importance of compassion and the flexible approach necessary to help others achieve liberation. It also underscores the fact that enlightenment is not a distant goal but a present reality, accessible to all beings, though it may appear differently depending on their level of understanding. The transformation of the unenlightened. A central theme of the Lotus Sutra is the inherent potential for enlightenment within all beings, regardless of their current state. The sutra emphasizes that even those who appear to be far from enlightenment, such as ordinary people, animals, or those who have committed serious wrongdoings, can achieve Buddhahood. This transformation, however, requires unwavering faith, diligent practice, and the guidance of skillful means. The Lotus Sutra teaches that the inherent Buddha nature is like a seed that can be cultivated through various practices, such as meditation, chanting, and the development of compassion. It emphasizes that through these practices, individuals can overcome their negative karma, purify their minds, and ultimately attain enlightenment. This process of transformation involves recognizing one's innate potential, releasing attachments and delusions, and aligning oneself with the Dharma. The sutra's emphasis on the transformation of the unenlightened reflects its core message of inclusiveness and universality. It challenges traditional Buddhist beliefs that limited enlightenment to a select few and underscores the possibility of liberation for all beings. By highlighting the transformative power of faith, practice, and skillful means, the Lotus Sutra offers a path towards enlightenment that is accessible to anyone willing to embark on the journey. The doctrine of eternal Buddhahood. One of the most profound and controversial teachings of the Lotus Sutra is the doctrine of eternal Buddhahood, which asserts that all beings inherently possess the potential to attain enlightenment and become Buddhas. This concept radically challenges traditional Buddhist views, which often emphasize a gradual path to enlightenment that could take countless lifetimes. The Lotus Sutra declares that all beings are fundamentally endowed with the Buddha nature, a potential for awakening that is not merely acquired but already present within them from the very beginning. This inherent Buddha nature is not a quality that is gained or lost, but rather a fundamental aspect of our true being. It is like a seed that is dormant but has the potential to sprout into a magnificent tree. The Lotus Sutra also emphasizes the importance of compassion and universal salvation. By embracing the doctrine of eternal Buddhahood, we can see that all beings have the capacity to achieve enlightenment and that our mission should be to help them realize their full potential. This understanding fosters a profound sense of interconnectedness and inspires us to work tirelessly for the benefit of all. The infinite lifespan of the Buddha. One of the most profound and challenging concepts presented in the Lotus Sutra is the idea of the Buddha's infinite lifespan. This concept fundamentally challenges the conventional notion of a historical Buddha who lived and died like any other human being. The Lotus Sutra asserts that the Buddha Shakyamuni, who is traditionally believed to have lived and died in India, is actually an eternal and unchanging being, existing beyond the limitations of time and space. The sutra explains that the Buddha's apparent birth, life, and death were simply skillful means employed to teach and guide sentient beings toward enlightenment. The Buddha's seemingly finite lifespan is a manifestation of his infinite compassion and wisdom, as it allows him to adapt his teachings to the specific needs and understanding of different beings across vast periods of time. This concept has profound implications for Buddhist practice. If the Buddha is eternally present, then the possibility of achieving enlightenment and attaining Buddhahood is not limited by time or circumstance. This understanding reinforces the notion of the Buddha's universality, as he exists beyond the limitations of individual existence. The Bodhisattva ideal and universal salvation. Embracing the Bodhisattva path. A central tenet of the Lotus Sutra is the Bodhisattva ideal. Bodhisattvas are enlightened beings who, out of compassion, delay their own enlightenment to help all beings attain liberation. They vow to work tirelessly for the benefit of all, even if it means remaining in the cycle of birth and death until all beings have reached enlightenment. Universal salvation. The Lotus Sutra emphasizes the potential for universal salvation, meaning that all beings can achieve enlightenment, regardless of their past actions or present circumstances. This stands in contrast to earlier Buddhist teachings, which often presented enlightenment as a difficult and rare attainment. Compassionate action. The Lotus Sutra encourages followers to emulate the Bodhisattvas by engaging in compassionate action. This involves actively seeking out ways to help others, alleviate suffering, and guide them towards enlightenment. This can take many forms, from simple acts of kindness to engaging in social justice movements or spreading the teachings of the Dharma. Breaking down barriers. The Bodhisattva ideal and the concept of universal salvation challenge traditional social and religious hierarchies. The Lotus Sutra teaches that enlightenment is not exclusive to a select few but is accessible to all beings, regardless of their social status, gender, race, or religious background. The Lotus Sutra and the Three Vehicles. The Lotus Sutra offers a unique perspective on the three vehicles of Buddhism: the Sravakayana, vehicle of hearers, the Pratyekabuddhayana, vehicle of solitary Buddhas, and the Bodhisattvayana, vehicle of Bodhisattvas. These vehicles represent different paths to enlightenment, and traditionally, the Lotus Sutra is associated with the Bodhisattvayana, the path emphasizing compassion and universal liberation. The Lotus Sutra, however, challenges the traditional view of these vehicles as separate and hierarchical. It asserts that all beings are capable of attaining Buddhahood, regardless of their current stage or chosen path. This inclusiveness is central to the Lotus Sutra's message, suggesting that all three vehicles ultimately converge on the same goal of enlightenment, albeit through different approaches and stages. The Lotus Sutra emphasizes that the three vehicles are not fundamentally different but rather different stages on a single path. The Sravakayana and Pratyekabuddhayana are seen as preparatory stages, leading to the final realization of the Bodhisattvayana. This perspective promotes a sense of unity and interconnectedness within the Buddhist framework, advocating for a broader understanding of the path to enlightenment. The Lotus Sutra and Mahayana Buddhism. The Lotus Sutra is considered a central text within Mahayana Buddhism, a major branch of Buddhism that emphasizes the pursuit of enlightenment for the benefit of all beings. It is often described as the heart of Mahayana, encapsulating many of its core doctrines and ideals. Mahayana Buddhism arose in India around the 1st century CE and spread to East Asia, where it profoundly influenced Buddhist thought and practice. The Lotus Sutra, with its message of universal salvation and the inherent Buddha nature of all beings, resonated deeply with Mahayana practitioners. It provided a framework for understanding the potential for awakening within all individuals, regardless of their social status or past actions. The Lotus Sutra's emphasis on skillful means, the Bodhisattva ideal, and the infinite lifespan of the Buddha align with Mahayana's central tenets. It challenged the traditional emphasis on individual liberation in favor of a path that focused on helping others achieve enlightenment. This shift towards universal compassion and the cultivation of bodhicitta, the awakened heart, became a cornerstone of Mahayana practice. The Lotus Sutra's influence on Mahayana Buddhism is evident in the development of various schools and traditions, including Zen, Pure Land, and Nichiren Buddhism. Each of these schools has drawn upon the sutra's teachings to shape their own unique practices and beliefs, demonstrating its enduring relevance within the Mahayana tradition. The metaphorical language of the Lotus Sutra. The Lotus Sutra is renowned for its rich and evocative metaphorical language, which serves to convey profound Buddhist teachings in a way that is both accessible and inspiring. The sutra employs a variety of metaphors, parables, and allegorical stories to illustrate the nature of reality, the path to enlightenment, and the boundless potential of all beings. One of the most prominent metaphors used in the Lotus Sutra is that of the lotus flower. Just as a lotus blossoms from the mud, the sutra teaches that all beings, even those who appear to be immersed in suffering and ignorance, possess the inherent potential for enlightenment. The lotus, rising above the murky waters in blooming and radiant beauty, symbolizes the transformative power of Buddhist practice and the ultimate realization of Buddhahood. The Lotus Sutra also makes extensive use of parables, such as the parable of the burning house, to illustrate complex Buddhist doctrines. These parables effectively engage the listener's imagination and make the teachings more relatable. By presenting the teachings in a narrative form, the sutra makes the path to enlightenment seem both attainable and inspiring. The metaphorical language of the Lotus Sutra is not merely decorative, it is essential to the sutra's profound message. It allows the teachings to resonate deeply with the hearts and minds of readers and listeners, inspiring them to embark on the journey of self-discovery and spiritual awakening. The inclusiveness and universality of the Lotus Sutra. One of the most striking features of the Lotus Sutra is its message of inclusiveness and universality. It asserts that the potential for enlightenment resides in all beings, regardless of their social status, gender, or past actions. This radical notion challenges the traditional Buddhist hierarchical view of the three vehicles, Hinayana, Mahayana, and Vajrayana, and their respective paths to liberation. The Lotus Sutra dismantles these barriers and declares that all beings can attain Buddhahood, the ultimate state of enlightenment. The sutra emphasizes the inherent Buddha nature within every individual. It teaches that everyone has the capacity to awaken to their true nature, which is fundamentally one with the Buddha's nature. This concept of universal Buddhahood transcends conventional divisions and embraces all sentient beings, regardless of their perceived differences. The Lotus Sutra also emphasizes the importance of compassion and the interconnectedness of all beings. It stresses that true enlightenment involves not only personal liberation but also the liberation of all beings. This message of universal compassion underscores the profound ethical implications of the sutra's teachings. By advocating for a universal path to enlightenment, the Lotus Sutra embodies a spirit of inclusiveness and breaks down barriers of exclusion. Its message of hope and possibility resonates with people from all walks of life and inspires them to cultivate their own potential for awakening. The Lotus Sutra's impact on Buddhist thought and practice. The Lotus Sutra has had a profound and enduring impact on Buddhist thought and practice, shaping the development of Mahayana Buddhism in particular. One of the most significant contributions of the Lotus Sutra is its emphasis on the inherent Buddha nature of all beings. This concept, known as Tathagatagarbha, challenges the traditional view of enlightenment as a distant goal achievable only by a select few. Instead, the Lotus Sutra asserts that the potential for enlightenment resides within everyone, regardless of their social status, background, or past actions. This emphasis on the universal potential for enlightenment has had a profound influence on Buddhist practice. It has led to a greater focus on compassion and the desire to help all beings attain liberation. Many Mahayana traditions, inspired by the Lotus Sutra, have developed practices like the Bodhisattva path, where individuals dedicate themselves to helping others achieve enlightenment. The Lotus Sutra has also inspired the development of new forms of Buddhist art and literature. The sutra's rich symbolism and imagery have been a source of inspiration for artists and writers throughout history, leading to the creation of countless paintings, sculptures, and texts that celebrate the teachings of the Lotus Sutra. The Lotus Sutra's impact on Buddhist thought and practice continues to be felt today. Its teachings on compassion, universal enlightenment, and the Bodhisattva ideal are relevant to people from all walks of life, offering a path to spiritual growth and transformation. Conclusion: the enduring relevance of the Lotus Sutra. The Lotus Sutra, despite its ancient origins, continues to resonate with Buddhist practitioners and scholars alike. Its profound teachings on the inherent Buddha nature within all beings, the power of skillful means, and the ultimate goal of universal salvation remain timeless and relevant. The sutra's emphasis on the transformative potential of all beings, regardless of their current state, offers a message of hope and inspiration. It challenges conventional notions of enlightenment and encourages individuals to strive for their own awakening and the liberation of all sentient beings. Furthermore, the Lotus Sutra's use of skillful means, its ability to adapt its teachings to the individual's level of understanding, makes it accessible to a wide range of practitioners. It provides a framework for engaging with Buddhist teachings in a meaningful and transformative way. In conclusion, the Lotus Sutra's enduring relevance lies in its profound teachings, its emphasis on universal compassion, and its ability to inspire and empower individuals on their spiritual journey. It remains a vital source of wisdom and guidance for Buddhists and seekers of truth throughout the world.